What's up, nerds? We're back with episode 36 of our gaming podcast. And today we're talking about, should your next GPU upgrade be AMD?
All right, so I'll start kind of with my own personal story. Currently, I have an MSI 3070, and I'm not quite ready to upgrade, but I've been thinking about what the future plan should be. When we get closer to kind of that fall time, we're creeping up on it when people start to put their graphics cards on sales, or when the new generation is going to come out. So I've been talking to Dan a lot. My last card being that 3070 through NVIDIA, I've loved it. I have no issues with it whatsoever. The only thing I'm currently seeing and talking with Dan specifically about is the VRAM issue that NVIDIA is known for. So this is an idea that we came up with talking today, just from our past couple weeks experience with it. So what's your biggest sell on it? Like, why do you think AMD might be the future-proof way to go?
Well, I think their strategy is starting to pay off because all these console ports, these big ones that are coming out, have run so much better on AMD, at least especially initially, and a lot of companies aren't putting the development time into fixing them down the road. So we're talking games like Call of Duty, Warzone. They run so much better on AMD cards, like a whole 20-30% better at the same price level you're talking about. And so that's just coming from the consoles. The PS5 and Xbox Series X are both designed on AMD architecture, and so the game developers don't have to do that much like optimization for AMD cards. It's already done. It's in the consoles.
I think when you were playing Warzone 2, I remember you saying specifically you switched over. I think you had to go play upstairs for some reason on your alternate computer, and you're like, dude, my game's running better on a technically, less performance-based card than your 3080 Ti. So that was kind of a weird thing for you to say. It caught me off guard.
Yeah, like significantly better. And so I played it both on a 6800 XT, and then I traded down to a 6800 because I kind of had a more small form factor PC. And even the 6800, like a $500 or below $500 graphics card, was outbeating a 3080 12 gig. And so like I had the liquid cooled 3080 12 gig, 300, we're talking 350, 400 watts of power pushing through it, overclocked. Nothing could get it up to like the level of the 6800.
Sorry, did I misspeak? I thought it was a Ti. My bad.
It's really close to the Ti. At that point in the generation, like they had the 3080 10 gig, and they did the 3080 Ti, and the 3080 12 gig kind of sits in between them. And it's not just 2 extra gigabytes of VRAM, it's like core increase as well. So the 3080 12 gig and the 3080 Ti are really close in spec, and so you're splitting hairs.
Yeah, that was close.
Yeah, and so they are like it's wild to think like it was that big of a difference in Call of Duty, and it's still that big of a difference today. And now that AMD's like 7000 series is out, it's starting to get like, why are we buying NVIDIA? Or why do people so many people are just like, how much ever money I have, I just buy the equivalent level NVIDIA card and I don't have to think about it, and that's it. And it served people pretty well for the most part this entire time, but now NVIDIA is getting greedier and greedier. They're disrespecting the customer. The 4070 and their whole 4000 series lineup has just been, we're going to take more money from you at the same level of performance. And then all the way to like the 4060 Ti having the same or worse performance as the 3060 Ti at the same price. So you're not like, what, I don't know what NVIDIA is doing, but AMD's getting like pretty competitive. And so if you're not going to get good value out of NVIDIA, I think it's time to start thinking about AMD. And what's kept the 7000 series for AMD out of most people's minds is they've kept it right underneath NVIDIA's like pricing. So it's like technically a better value, but they're like on par or really close. And so people are just like, well, I'm just going to stick with NVIDIA because I've never had any issues.
Right.
Now, the 7800 and 7800 XT are coming in at 500 and 450 bucks. $100 cheaper than the 4070, and it's going to be either on par with or better. And for a lot of these games, like Starfield, they run better on AMD.
What's the VRAM difference in that? Between like
16 gigs and 12 gigs.
yeah.
So for 500, and then the 4070 is at 12 gigs, and even the 4070 Ti is at 12 gigs.
And my 3070
Is at 8
8.
gigs.
So I think that's my biggest issue. And I'm not in a huge rush to upgrade. Just like you said, a lot of people aren't having issues currently, but I can kind of see the writing on the wall when I'm looking at games and I'm optimizing and I'm saying, okay, you know, I haven't been to the point where I haven't been able to run a game at the best performance and look. But as you see that VRAM slider start to creep up, as you know, between the first year I got it and even this last year and this year, when you're buying to future proof, which I do, anyone who's listened before, and as obviously you know, Dan, I buy each piece at a time and I do a lot of research and talk to you for a long time before I make a purchase. And the 40 series generation wasn't even an option for me because there was no value to it. So I had no problem with skipping a generation, but now looking at AMD as probably in my next card. Now I had AMD before this 3070 and I had zero issues with AMD as well. This was just kind of a better generation, the 30 series was. But as far as like CPU goes, AMD all day long. I love AMD as a company, and I love listening to their CEO. I've owned stock in them because I appreciate them that much. It's just something that I'm probably gonna do, and I'm starting to get that itch to do that upgrade. But as you're looking as a consumer for future proofing your rig, makes way more sense in my head to go AMD this time around, and that might not be the future or the case in the future. You know, a couple generations from now, a lot of times these companies are going back and forth. But this upcoming year, based on everything you said and the research I've done, it kind of a no-brainer, man. Like I don't see too many negatives unless I'm missing something.
Yeah, I mean you get more VRAM, so that affords you the like ability to skip a generation or two with the like next generation games coming out. Luckily, Starfield is pretty VRAM optimized. They said that like they don't really have any like issues with like how much VRAM the game's using, but it's still a very hard game to run. So they said the 3070 is right at that like nexus of you have to do some like tinkering and optimizing to get it to run like you're used to being able to run games at like high FPS and like visual qualities. And so like, yeah, you definitely like don't have to upgrade if you're a 3070 owner, like, and you're running, even 3060 running games fine. Don't feel like you have to, but on your next, when you're ready, I would take a good hard look at AMD because you're getting a lot more VRAM. You're getting more value out of the card. And then these like games that are getting ported from console, AAA games, big ones, are running a lot better on AMD. So if we take a look at, we got Starfield runs like a lot better on AMD cards. I guess like not a lot, but like a good like 10-20% performance increase from like similar level like cards. We have Modern Warfare and Warzone runs a lot better. Hogwarts Legacy ran noticeably better on AMD as well.
It's funny you say that because I was just thinking about that. My buddy Caleb, shout out to you if you're watching, you better be. He had issue upon issue with his rig running Hogwarts Legacy. And now looking back at this, because he has a powerful computer, so
Mhm.
seeing that, he had to look up a bunch of guides on how to optimize that game specifically, and that's never fun, man. Like I don't enjoy that. I know some people like to tinker to get every little last FPS, but like for me, I've said it before, I go on the NVIDIA control panel and have boop, optimize, and I'm okay with that because I've never had an
Mhm.
issue with it. But like the future is coming, if I'm gonna start having to really tinker on every single game I play, I'm gonna get frustrated because you know based on what for instance, Baldur's Gate 3 right now, I just hit Act 3. I had to re-optimize a little bit because it's not running good. The first
Mhm.
50 or 45 hours I played was completely fine, and now I'm into Act 3 and I have to re-optimize my GPU, and that's frustrating for me, and I think for a lot of normal video game players it is as well. So,
Oh, for
because
sure.
we
Yeah,
gotta go ahead. Sorry.
I like to optimize my games, but I hate when I have to
Mhm.
optimize my games, right? Like you're not hitting the level of performance, you're sub 60 or you want it like a nice smooth like 80, you want it looking nice and it's down in the like 50s and it's bouncing around and you're like this is not what I want and then you have to like compromise your visual quality and so um yeah, and a lot of times some of these games that aren't optimized well, you significantly have to reduce settings because they're not optimized to take advantage of that. And so then you're dropping things like down a ton. And I mean like I used to play on like high or mix between like high and low settings and Warzone. I think I'm all on low Warzone right now with my Nvidia card just to try and keep the FPS as high as possible. And
Right.
you don't really have to do that on the AMD's like 6800 series or even like I've heard I've see a lot of the reviews on the 67 and 6750 and 6600 stuff like they're the old generation's punching really well for FPS per dollar and this new 7800 and 7800 XT $500 and $450 is
That's
pretty
a
crazy.
that's a good
It's taking
price
a
point, man.
shot.
I mean, that's for a PC player, that's a good price point, man. For that
Mhm.
level of performance, I mean, I spent, and now granted, this was during the whole COVID time, and GPUs were ridiculous to get a hold of, and um, Bitcoin was a big thing, and anyways, I spent what close to $800 on mine. Now you're talking $300 less than that. That's music to my ears. Real quick. I got a question for you, but I do want to say because I just brought up that once you get to Act 3 of Baldur's Gate 3,
Mhm.
the performance issues are very notable and the frame rates are very choppy. Here's some knowledge for all you guys out there: cap your frame rate to 50 and change to and from triple buffering down to double buffering, and it
Okay.
fixes every single problem.
Smooths everything out. No more
I
stutter.
Yep, that was the only thing I had to change, and we're good to go. Because I was actually ready to stop playing. I was getting so frustrated.
That
Oh yeah,
bad, really.
very bad. It
Wow.
it was like if you get low frame rates and you're playing, that doesn't bug me. But when it's like just back and
Yeah.
forth, dude,
Mhm.
15. I don't know what I was at because I'm not watching. I'm playing a single player game, but just going down to like probably the single digits at some point where it's just like. And that whole game for
Wow.
45 hours was no problem. And now Act 3,
Mhm.
kind of what we talked about a few podcasts ago. Act 3 is not as optimized and perfect as everyone
Mhm.
plays the game out to be. But
Right, for sure.
so the question I had moving on from that, when in your opinion is the best time to do an upgrade for price? Like whether that maybe when do most companies change their new generation? Is it random? Is there a time? Is there big sale times? Like what in your experience is the best time to buy?
Usually the absolute best time is before the next generation gets announced. The price like plunges down, people are trying to like push their old stuff. Now, depending on how big the next generation like jump is going to be, then once they announce it, the old stuff can go down like a lot. Like in the 30 series, when they said the 3070 was going to perform like the 2080 Ti did, and the 2080 Ti was $1,200, and the 3070 is 500. The prices just tanked, fell off the face of the earth. It was crazy. But most of the time, like when I got upgraded to my 3070, they like hadn't really announced the 40 series yet, or they just announced the 4090 and 4080, and then they're putting on EVGA was putting them on kind of like a fire sale, kind of like a deal, and so that's usually the absolute best time and price. Um, the next best time to kind of like look for is when you're seeing like good competition kind of in the market. So a new player like enters the game, somebody drops their prices, they start to get more competitive overpriced. And so I think NVIDIA is already going to start dropping the price of their 4070 and 4060 and 4060 Ti in preparation for this big AMD drop here. Now, is that the absolute best time to buy for price? No, but you're getting a better deal on what than NVIDIA like thought it was. And the 4070, there's nothing wrong with the 4070. It's a great card. The only thing wrong with it was the price.
Mm-hmm.
It's at least $100 more than it like needed to be. But otherwise, it's a 12 gig 3080 for the most part. And if it was $500, it'd be a banger.
Right.
But they wanted to squeeze every last dime out of you, and they think that their DLSS like 3.0 and frame generation, adding new features means they need to add more money onto the graphics card. And so competition usually like brings those prices down pretty good. And then outside of that, it's usually just kind of everybody waiting and graphics cards like not selling well.
Mm-hmm. Then steep sales.
Mm-hmm. Especially on some of those like bigger ones that like they thought were going to be really expensive cards. That turned out like not as many people wanted them. And AMD is a company that drops their stuff on sale way more than Intel or NVIDIA do. And so like AMD already dropped their price of their last gen stuff. You can get a 6950 XT, which was like the top generation card from last year from AMD, for like $600.
And that's a beast of a card.
It's pretty solid in a lot of things. It competes in some games. It competes up there close to like the 3090 and stuff like that. But in other games, it's kind of like hit or miss. And that's always been.
You're spending half the price.
Half the price.
Half the price. Not even exaggerating. You're looking at $1,200 for a 40 or 3090. Mm-hmm. You know, well, not anymore with the 40 series, but you know what I mean, like launch prices. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm trying not to get too excited because I don't need to upgrade. I'm having zero issues, but I'm just like, I need something. You know, when you go like 3 months without an upgrade, you're like, okay, what do I need to upgrade? So yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to table my excitement and just wait, do what I do and wait till the best possible price to performance opportunity comes up and out. Make that.
Yeah. If you keep waiting and like you can kind of accept like your levels of performance,
which I can do. I have no issues with my rig right now. I'm just, you're
gonna come across that killer deal,
right?
You'll be able to find it and you'll be able to pull the trigger right away versus, pulling the trigger on something that like, I'm not like quite ready to upgrade, but I want to like, get on the latest gen, upgrading to like a cheaper one. And then all of a sudden you see the price drop on a card that you probably wanted, like having to settle for a 4070 instead of like a 4080 or 4070 Ti. And then once, AMD comes out with like another generation of stuff, or Intel's next gen comes out and everybody has to drop their price.
Right.
You'll see some pretty good deals for sure.
So let me tell you what I'm doing, because we talked about this. For those of you listening, I told Dan I wanted to upgrade a few different things. He sent me this bullshit package deal, which was actually a really good deal. It was almost close to $400 off of Micro Center, but it was nothing that I asked him for. It was just a really good deal.
2 out of the 3.
2 out of 3. So it was new CPU, new RAM, new motherboard. I didn't want to drop to almost $600 randomly, but I really wanted to. We were gonna drive down. We were gonna make a video of it, do the upgrade, make the video of the purchase, the upgrade. It would have been great. I'd have loved it. But here's what I'm doing. To perception's everything, right? So spending $600 randomly feels much more, or much crappier than setting aside some money leading up to this purchase for the next couple of months. So what I'm doing right now, I got my whole family savings and all this other stuff, investments, all that, blah, blah, blah. What I'm doing, which I've never done before, is I am doing like a PC upgrade fund, and I'm just setting aside random amounts of money. Like the other day, I was like, oh, I want to go buy this, and it was something silly. It was only like $15. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that, and I transferred $15 to my PC fund. So even though it's only $15, over time doing that is going to add up. And then also I'm going to have money sitting there. I'm like, all right, now it's time to make that big purchase and feel better about myself and know I did it the mature way versus like splurge buying, which I feel like one is easy to do, and two, it's just going to make me feel better and not have buyer's remorse. And then two, I got my Best Buy points for when I'm ready to upgrade my GPU. Also, dude, I'm going to have a whole new rig. It's going to be wild. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. So just, in the next 3 or 4 months, I'll probably be ready to do that big CPU and motherboard and RAM upgrade, which I don't need to do, but, it's fun.
Yeah, so if anybody's looking to or we're considering it, Micro Center has some insane bundle deals on CPU, RAM, and a motherboard for. They have them some for Intel, a set for Intel as well, but the AMD 7000 series ones are crazy.
Yeah, it was almost $400 off for their Ryzen 9.
It's literally worth the gas driving 4 or 5 hours away to your nearest Micro Center and driving back, and then you're still saving more money versus buying it online.
Yeah.
The only downside to it is you have to be okay with the motherboard that they have bundled in and the RAM. You can't make any or swap outs or anything like that. I did an upgrade for a friend's dad was building a golf simulator, and so we did that deal for a 7800X and a low end like B650 motherboard, or a lower end, and 32 gigs of RAM. It was $400. The motherboard did end up having some issues, and so we just we had to take it back or swapped it out, and they just gave us a whole new one. We could have went through the manufacturer as well if you didn't want to drive all the way back to Micro Center. But then we haven't had any issues since. And so depending on what price bracket you're kind of shopping in, you may kind of get a motherboard they have a whole bunch of excess from. But with the warranties and stuff that all the companies have, I wouldn't have any issues. It'd be yep, just warranty it. They'll send you a new one pretty much right away, and you'll be off to the races, and you'll save $300, which is insane.
Yeah. Anything else to add to the topic?
Just that I've been for the past couple months considering swapping out to a 7800 XTX or 7900 XTX. The only thing that's stopping me is I got the EVGA card.
Yeah.
I'm impartial to EVGA. I love them.
And they're done with the graphics cards.
They're done with graphics cards, which now makes it really easy for my next one is going to be AMD because there's nothing keeping me. Before it was there wasn't that brand that for AMD that I had a really strong connection to.
See, I got MSI now. I do.
MSI's they're good. Sapphire, great company for AMD. My company that I'm a little bit impartial to for AMD is Power Color, just because they were the first graphics card that I ever bought from.
Yeah.
And then they made this behemoth Red Devil 39 or 3092, which they put two GPUs on the same PCB, and so it was one graphics card, but it was two of them, and they just did some wild stuff. And so I like them a little bit, but EVGA is by far best customer service. They have the best deals and offerings. They make some of the best products, and after me knowing that with my experience from them, and then hearing this after they exited the GPU market, all the different things that they would do to like get around NVIDIA's like lockdowns and like just the like maverick wild stuff that they would do to push things past what NVIDIA said was okay was just awesome and just confirmed everything that I loved about the company. So I'm sad to see them go, and that's one of the reasons I'm holding on to it. I think I'm just gonna ride this one out
Right.
for a while. And
I mean, that's a really good card too. So there's really
yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
The only downside though is I'm back on NVIDIA, so the VRAM issue, it'll catch up to me. There was already games that required 16 gigs to run at like 1440p, and so
that's wild to me.
Yeah, I'm already. I think we're gonna see that more and more, and so that'll probably be the thing that like makes me upgrade.
We'll upgrade together. It'll be glorious.
That's right.
We'll have to wait till the wives are gone, and we'll do like we did a couple years ago, where you come bring your PC and we just game and drink beer and smoke cigars.
It'd be awesome.
Like, dude, that was like 3 years ago now. At this point, 2 years.
I know. Crazy.
All right. Well, again, we talked last week. We are moving to a different format. So the first 20-ish minutes is going to be one main topic. And then if you want to stick around, we're just going to be bullshitting kind of what we're playing, what we're watching, all that. So if you're leaving, thank you so much for stopping by. Hopefully, if you're just dropping in for the one topic, it's nice, quick, concise, and you can get the hell out of here. But if you want to hear us just bullshit, stick around. We appreciate that too. So real quick, we do have a Discord channel, so that link will be in the description. We have a Twitter. We don't really post too much on there, but Discord, we're trying to build a nice community here. So questions, gameplay footage, whatever, is the flavor of the day. So
yeah, you need some upgrade advice, hit us up.
Boom. We got the man literally does it full time for a job and hobby. So yeah. What have you been playing? Well, no, not what have you been playing? Why did you have such a big itch for Starfield? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for Starfield, but you went from not playing early access to texting me like, holy shit, I need to play right now. Like, were you watching gameplay footage or what happened?
Yeah, it broke me down, man. Like, I went from being like, no, like I don't have like that big of an itch to play Starfield. I think it looks cool, but like I'll wait the 5 days. I'm not paying their like $30 extra for 5 days early access. And then like the more I thought about it, I was like, but those 5 days are during a 4-day weekend for me. Like, oh, that's like tough to like say no to. Those sons of guns got me. So that was part of it, just like me having a lot of time off. The other thing was I was watching reviews of it without like any spoilers and stuff like that, and they say it's very it's reminded me of Destiny, but like not the Destiny thing, but it like there's a lot of elements that are like kind of parallel and like line up, and obviously an RPG versus an MMO light kind of version, and so they say it dives pretty deep into like the looting aspect. There are weapons from different manufacturers, and there's a great variety of weapons. I'm like, this is giving me D1 vibes, like doing all the different manufacturers and like their unique spin on different weapons, like was really like drawing me in. And so that started to get me going, just like watching the spaceships like lift off, take into flight, and piloting a spaceship. I've been waiting for like a good spaceship kind of like shooter, like piloting, like flying around a spaceship for a while. Yeah. And some of them, the ones that are out, just dive too deep. They're not accessible. You have to be like in a flight rig, and you have to know all these different kind of flight stuff. And it's like, no, I'm not that good, or it's too new, like different of a gameplay mechanic for me to like really get into that. And so this one seems like dumbed down enough to be accessible and easy to play, but the combat seems like advanced enough to like have fun at.
Yeah, keep you entertained. I have yet to watch anything.
Well, hopefully I didn't spoil anything.
No, I mean, I watched a little bit of, like a year ago when we talked about it. I can't remember what we did it for a podcast. They had like the whole Starfield reveal. or not revealed, but where it was just about Starfield.
Yep.
Other than that,
Starfield Direct.
yeah. So I fast forwarded through a video just to get to the buy wait for sale, never touch.
Mhm.
From my main man ACG.
Yep.
He gave it a strong buy. I said, I'm out. That's all I need to know. Because I bought the key from CD Keys. So if you download that key, you can't return it. There's no 2-hour policy like on Steam. So I got a buy from someone who aligns with my thought process for gaming. And I'm just sitting there. I'm still gonna beat Baldur's Gate 3 before I touch it though.
Okay.
So just one playthrough, Baldur's Gate 3. I'm not gonna, because I know myself and I know how I react to Bethesda games, even if they're shitty launches and buggy and whatever.
Yep.
I can look past those because the amount of fun and interaction in those games draw me in enough for me not to care. And a lot of the times it's funny as shit. You're
Right.
watching bodies flying or like silly.
Charming Bethesda bugs.
Yeah. So
overall, though, from what I've heard, is it's not that buggy of a game.
Yeah, that's
It's
what.
on the Bethesda level.
Right.
There are some bugs, but none of them are game breaking. They're all usually just visual, people clipping through things or like people floating off into space.
T-posing and shit.
Yeah,
but not too bad.
Yeah, but they said like they were expecting a lot more, and I think Microsoft allowing them to delay the game has really gone a long way to making it like a much more polished game.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the other part of it. It was like, oh, I'm not going to pay $30 for like, to be a beta tester for them, but doesn't seem like they really needed it that much.
I'm excited, man. I'm really happy to see Bethesda because I've always been a Bethesda fanboy until Fallout 76 came out, and I'm like, oh, golly. Yeah.
There.
Yeah. I mean, they've had some not heavy hitters like Youngbloods, Wolfenstein Youngbloods was pretty bad. I know a lot of people didn't like Fallout 4. I loved it. Great game. For me at least. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm about to hit 50 hours in Baldur's Gate 3.
Let's go.
Probably 4 or 5 hours in Act 3. And I'm loving the game. I'm still it depends the night. Some nights I'm like, okay, I'm kind of getting bored, and then other nights I'm like, holy shit, the storylines are all coming together. It's really fun. Combat is kind of take it or leave in the game. It's nowhere near and this is the same experience I've had the whole time. It's fun. I enjoy doing it, but it's not as intricate as I would personally like because I'm a big tactical RPG player. So, but it's you can't have everything, right? But it's good. I'm excited to beat it though. I'm excited to kind of be done because it's such a very slow game. When you're looking at CRPGs, and I want to play Starfield. So, but I'm not. I know if I touch Starfield, I'm not going to go back to Baldur's Gate for a long time. Not forget where I'm at the story, and it's just going to be a whole shit show.
That's fair. That's fair.
So, what have you got excited for Sea of Stars? We did that video. You played like what 3.5 hours of it, and you haven't touched it.
Not since then. Yeah, like what did it came out on Tuesday?
29th. Week? No, it came out Thursday or Friday. It came out Thursday. It came out Thursday.
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night at 10 or 11. Yeah, so Thursday, technically.
No, it came out Monday night.
Dude, it's the second or third today. It came out the 29th. Because I launched that short on Friday.
Yeah, no, but I'd already played 2 days worth of it.
It definitely.
I was off.
So it would have been Wednesday morning or Tuesday night. You're right.
I think it was Monday night. Because I.
Oh yeah, you're right. Monday night.
I stayed home, watched my kid on Tuesday, and I played like during her naps.
Yeah, you're right.
Loved every minute of it.
Yeah, Monday night, into Tuesday morning.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I put a pretty good like chunk into Sea of Stars. There was I stayed up Tuesday night and played it, and then I was just like really tired the rest of the week, And so I brought my Steam Deck upstairs, and I was gonna like sit in bed and play it, and I laid in bed and
Yep.
so
Classic.
that's why I haven't like played it more. And then like I really wish there was a mobile client to the game because it looks like you could run it on mobile. Like
I
it
looked
doesn't.
to see if it was on Game Pass for mobile, and it's not.
Oh,
It's not as console or PC only. A lot of those times, those are cloud ported, but that
yeah,
one
that
is
would be
not.
a great game to play. Well, there's some timing issues that would make it
Right.
more difficult, but no, I was loving it. I did get stuck on like the final boss of the like the
Prologue.
prologue. Thank you. I didn't learn the mechanic at all and just kept like beating my head against the wall and died like 15 times. I'm like, I don't know, I'm not getting it. I don't understand. But then then like there's settings that you can turn it to like easy, like make the game easier for you. And I was like, screw it, I just need to turn these on to like brute force this like thing because I can't beat it. Still wiped twice, and then figured out that like I figured out the mechanic and I was like, wow, yeah, like I feel dumb
Stupid.
for trying
Yeah.
that many times
We've all
on it,
been
but
there. We've all been there.
yeah, exactly. It is kind of just like you need some of that like puzzle piece where you can't quite figure it out. Otherwise, like a lot of the games just seem like too easy. You're just blowing through them, but they just can't seem like super frustrating or like the hard barrier to like entry or to, like or to mess around to figure out. So
Right.
no, it was a lot of fun. Once I got past that portion, I continued a little bit more, but then yeah, I had to go to bed.
I'm excited to play it. I've been, obviously we just talked. I've been playing Baldur's Gate 3 still. Armored Core. I'm into chapter 2. I beat that one boss.
You did, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you beat it that one night you were telling me, or did you just call it quits that
I
one
called
night?
it quits because I only played like an hour that night.
Okay.
The cool thing about this game is, I mean, some people might not like it, but you can be getting your ass kicked with a boss. You learn their mechanics, and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna try out these weapons. Tried out
Mm-hmm.
different weapons and shredded them the like second or third time. So, which is unlike a normal Souls like or From Software game where you just kind of have to get good at the mechanics, get your timing down. This is like, nope. He has a specific, like in this case, he has a shield that you need to drop, so you need to use a weapon that drops shields, and then stun lock him, kick his ass. So beat him going into chapter 2. I've been using that game as just a palate cleanser. Like I'll play Baldur's Gate 3. I'm like, all right, I'm kind of getting bored of listening or reading. Switch over to that, play for an hour. So I got 7 hours in. I'm not grinding it by any means. I'm just randomly playing it, and I think I'm going to use it through Starfield too. So the game is good, but it doesn't draw me in where I want to play it a lot.
Right.
It's really weird to say because I really think the game's good, but at the same time, it's not a game I want to sit down and play. So it's kind of it's weird.
I think the story aspect just like isn't like blockbuster story HBO kind of deal where like you're like, oh my god, I have to find out what happens next.
Yeah.
And then like there's not, it's not a super complicated style of game, like, right? Like you have like your weapons and you're cycling through them to figure out the mechanics, and so you're not like having to grind for like a god tier weapon that would make you feel amazing. And so it's simple but good, but it just doesn't like keep you absolutely addicted, which is perfectly fine and probably a good thing in this like crazy 2023 we're having right now.
Yeah, I think the most I played straight was like 2 hours, and I do think about the game because it is good, but it's the normal missions are very short for the most part. I've had one mission that was about 30 minutes, and I know everyone's saying it's a slow burn. And I mentioned that for the story. The story is definitely a slow burn because it's starting to pick up now. But just overall combat, I know once you get more into the game, it does get a lot more lengthy and intense on the normal missions. Because right now, It's like easy scrub normal mission. Boom, 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 whooping everyone's ass. Hit a boss that's hard.
Right.
And it's like almost too easy on one note and then hard on the bosses. But sometimes it's not fun just to like blow through shit. You know, it's just holding R, it's, you know, you're just cycling. But anyway, so yeah, I'm excited to play Sea of Stars. I played it a little bit. Love it. It's a perfect Steam Deck game. I do not like it on my PC at all.
Just because like you have to plug in a controller because the mouse controls are weird.
Yeah, the mouse controls are weird. Or the keyboard. There's no mouse controls.
Yeah, that's weird.
There's no ultra wide support, so that's silly.
Yep,
don't like that.
It like locks to specific resolutions, and so even on a 1440p super ultra wide, you can only play at 1080p.
So if you put it to, I put mine to from full screen to there's another setting, and it did make it ultra wide, but then it was like stretched. It didn't look good, so I was like, well, fuck this. I'm not gonna. I don't know, but I also don't like having the black bars on the side on my ultra wide. So we'll see. I'm just using it as a Steam Deck game. Like tonight when I render this video out, I'll play Sea of Stars a little bit. And just kind of chunk away at it.
I know the developers are like it's like a pretty like new company. They've only released one other game, The Messenger, which apparently was like really, really good as a throwback to like side scrolling games.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Yeah, apparently it won like a bunch of like kind of like indie or like basic kind of like awards. I picked it up for $5 on Steam as well. I don't know if I'll play it, but yeah, like it's kind of like the classic like side scroller kind of like a deal platformer.
Yeah.
But everybody says it was like really good. The visuals to me didn't jump out that much to me specifically, but I kind of missed a lot of the side scrolling like generation type games, and so it wasn't that nostalgic versus like this style RPG rolling through, and the 16-bit style is very nostalgic for me, and so maybe that's like why. But I was like, for $5, I'll throw the developer a little bit of extra cash.
Heck yeah.
But like yeah, their story was pretty unique. I watched like a documentary on YouTube. And they were just kind of like a group of guys who were kind of fed up developing for a game studio that was like very corporate. You couldn't do like what you wanted to do. They're like, nope, we need to make this next game. We need to make it this way. You need to be on this. And like, if you wanted to branch out and do a different, try something like, hey, I want to, try my hand at like, art design or something today. They'd be like, nope, you're a developer. You need to develop. And so the guy left. Started his own studio, and just because he wanted to do whatever he wanted to like be able to create. And so it's like it's one of those things where I can respect the creativity behind it and like doing like what you want to make. And so I think they said that the Messenger was something that they could get everybody on board to, and they had to finish it up so they could make this game.
Okay.
Because this game's way more ambitious than the Messenger was. So they still got to like make a game that they wanted to with the Messenger, but this was ultimately like the game that they really wanted to like sink their teeth into. But just because it's such a bigger scope, like much more massive game, that they weren't kind of able to.
Well, dude, looking at Sea of Stars, I never would have guessed that it was a new developer.
Yeah.
Like I know I haven't played a lot of it, but just watching gameplay, watching like what they've done, watching reviews.
Yeah, but it almost like makes more sense now that you think about it, right? Because they're coming at it like at a different angle than a lot of these like big corporate studios. They're kind of coming at it. They're really doubling down and like pouring what they're passionate about into like little aspects of the game, which normally you don't get the time to do in a big studio that's pumping out games.
Right. I made a purchase today. I finally bought. You guess what it is?
Spider-Man.
I already own Spider-Man.
You should buy it again and play it.
I finally bought a Steam Deck dock.
Hey,
Yep.
did you
So
get a JSAX one?
I did. I got the 603, which is the one with the gigabyte Ethernet.
Yup.
So the reason I made that purchase is, one, I haven't been playing my Steam Deck, but two, there's a lot of good little games that I could play with my kids. So I'm, instead of like booting up, because I don't have any speakers with my computers, both of my monitors don't have speakers. I'm
shit.
like,
Yep.
I was gonna plug the HDMI in through there, but I'm like, man, there's enough indie games or 360 era games that I could play on the Steam Deck on my big screen with the kids. Or my biggest thing is like, the reason I love the Nintendo Switch so much is the quick boot. Boom, right back in the game. Steam Deck has that.
Dang,
You just need to have it plugged in because the battery wears down so quick for the most part. So yeah, man, I'm gonna do that. Or even, there's so many like little roguelites I like to play, and it's just like, hey, 15 minutes here, play it. So I finally made that purchase today. It was $7 off, and I got 10% off on top of that. So
they got some great deals, and their prices
they're good, dude.
really good.
Yeah, because I don't know if you remember, but I bought the Steam Deck. Oh, that hurt. I just kicked my cord. I bought the Valve Steam Deck dock, the official one, and it didn't fit my D-brand case. But D-brand redid the case due to an issue and actually brought inserts for the top and the USB-C. So
nice.
yeah, which was great. They sent a whole new one. Like, dude, they ate a lot of money on that, but there was a major issue on there. Do you remember me telling you that it actually slowed down the fan speed because of magnet? But anyways, so I got the Valve dock, sent it back because it didn't fit. I would have to get an extender, and I didn't have a kickstand. It was gonna be sloppy, so I sent it back. And now I got this one. I ended up, normally it was 60, it was on sale for 53. I got 10% more, so I ended up paying like $49. But it comes with a charger too. So that's with a 45-watt charger included. So I can keep that all plugged in on my TV, and then I'll have my one that I can travel with.
That's awesome.
So I thought that's a good deal, dude. That's a really good deal. Literally half the price of the Valve one.
Is this the one that
you got? Is that the 603 or the 602?
I don't know. It's got the Ethernet, and it has one HDMI.
Okay, so there's the 603. The only difference is the Ethernet download speed. The original one had 100 megs. This one has 1 gig. It was only the difference of like $5, so I went for the bigger one.
I probably have the original one.
Probably. I mean, honestly though,
they have some pretty cool ones that like you can put a M.2 SSD into, and so when you dock it, you have access to like your entire game library that you'd want. So
yeah, I saw that too. That's really cool, but I wasn't gonna spend that money.
I know, it's just like it
was like,
and so actually, it's funny you think about that, because I was literally thinking today about setting up the Steam Deck on the TV, because my wife wanted to play some like classic games from her childhood. She wanted to play Arctic Thunder, which was like this old arcade snowmobile game.
Oh, I remember that. Hell yeah. That's funny.
And so she's like, how can we hook up with the TV? And I was like, well, I just got rid of my portable computer. I only have one. So either we run a 20-foot HDMI cable around to the back of the TV, or I was like trying to think of like how I could stream it from the Steam Deck from my PC. But I was like, wait a minute, like this is a 360 era game or Xbox era. The Steam Deck can just run it perfectly fine.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna get that set up.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
To play some games on the TV, some old school games. That'll be fun.
Yeah, that would be a blast. I'm excited. I'm trying to get use out of that damn thing because it's such a great product, but I just don't have a use for it.
Yeah, mine sat for a while until Sea of Stars came out. My one complaint about Sea of Stars on the Steam Deck is because it's locked in resolution, it's got two tiny strips on the top and bottom. Because the Steam Deck's resolution is 800p and not 720p.
Okay. I guess I didn't notice. But I
A
only
lot of
played,
games are like that too on the Steam
yeah.
Deck.
I only played 30
It's
minutes though, so.
it's not a huge deal, but it's like, oh, if games would just when they get optimized for the Steam Deck, and because there's so many Steam Decks out there, they should have an 800p resolution mode, so it makes it 16 by 10 aspect ratio instead of 16 by 9. And just things that fill up the entire screen look amazing. But yeah, mine's kind of sat for a while until that game came out, and you pick it up and you're like, it just feels so right. The
It does.
ergonomics are incredible. It feels good in the hands, all the buttons and everything. It's like, I want to use this more, but with the gaming PC here, it's just like
You still
tough to
haven't
find
even
excuses.
felt my
I know
Project Kill
you're,
Switch, dude. Oh my gosh. I need to, you know what? I don't even think I've really showed you it. See if I can get a good picture in here. Nope. So I just gotta, so here,
oh wow.
come on, focus. So that's all little robots. But then you look at this, got kickstand,
Heck yeah.
and then it actually pops off. I can remember. Oh, I can't remember how. I'm gonna look like an idiot. So yeah, it just pops right off.
Oh, nice.
So then if you don't need it,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's I thought I just broke it. Didn't break it. It's funny. It just, yeah, it's, then you kind of got the little grippy grips, and it feels nice, man. I'm really happy I made that purchase, and makes it feel even that much better. It's kind of like was satisfying, and I saw Satisfy's actually, they made stuff for the Steam Deck too now, not just the Switch.
Oh, okay.
So I saw actually Wood Beat 'em Ups was doing a video from them. So, but yeah.
What did they just came out with something? Another version of their like Satisfy grip for the Switch.
Like the Zen. Well, they came out with one that looks like Legend of Zelda.
Yep, but this was like a different version. So they, when the OLED came out, the OLED Switch is actually
Didn't fit.
longer than the regular Switch, and so they had to come out with a whole other version that used like this gas mounting thing that like slides in and holds it kind of in place. So no matter what size Switch you put in, it'll kind of fit in there. But one that's like a normal sized one, not the obviously if you put the Switch Lite in there, it won't fit because the dimensions aren't even close. But I thought they came out with like a third version that did something else or accommodated some other sized something, or I don't know this.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't been paying attention.
Anywhere,
yeah, I just know.
Must be on their email list or something like that.
I just remember the last one when the OLED came out, it was slightly smaller than the actual or the original Switch. So then they had to make a whole new one. So
I'm actually looking it up right now. Oh.
Speaking of Switch.
Oh, that's what it was. You can dock your Switch with it on now.
That's awesome.
They just took out a whole chunk of the back piece.
Dude.
So now you can just keep it on and dock it and then pick it up.
That's actually really sweet.
Ronin. Yep. I knew they came out with something. I was like, they increased something that seemed kind of cool, but that would actually have me have that on there a lot more. Because whenever I dock it, I'd be like, I got to take this whole thing out. Put it back in.
Big pain in the ass. Speaking of Nintendo Switch, did you see the new Mario game?
I didn't watch the big Mario Direct that they had. No.
So
is it the 3D platformer, or is it a different one?
It's a 2D platformer. So it's Super Mario Brothers Wonder. And it's a side scroller, old school Mario. But dude, you gotta, after this, you gotta look it up. I'm actually excited. I haven't been excited for a Mario game in ever. I guess. Like Mario Odyssey is great, Mario
Mario
64,
Odyssey is amazing.
but I wasn't hyped until after I started playing it. This
Right.
looks
This has got you
phenomenal,
hyped, huh?
dude. I'm gonna pre-order it. I'm excited.
Wow.
So,
So my only like I love the nostalgic factor of the side-scrolling Marios,
mhm.
but I suck at them.
So do I.
I'm not good. Like that was probably like the Super Mario Brothers World 3.
Hmm.
Super Mario Brothers 3 World, or I forget what the name was. For the Super Nintendo was like my game that I played a ton,
Hmm.
but I never got past like the second world.
I
Like I
mean, you
just
were also a child.
yeah, but even like I'd even play it like into like well into a decent chunk into elementary school and stuff, and it was really cool. I loved like the aspect of the music and the game. I sucked at it.
Yeah.
Um and so I always wanted to like it more, play it more, but I always like pick them up and then still stink at them.
The only reason I am making this purchase is because of Leah. Um, because we've been playing 3D World, and we're actually on
Heck yeah.
the second secret world. So we beat the
Let's
whole
go.
game. Dude, it gets hard. It gets fucking
So
hard, man.
when it gets normal, it gets hard for me.
Yeah, we're sitting there playing, and like we're on the final mission of the first secret world or whatever. And it's one of those games where we'll play for like 20, 30 minutes. I'm like, fuck this. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that in front of my kid, but I'll just be like, all right, Leah, I'm done for the day. And she's like, Dad, I'm like, I've tried like 10 times. And then I'll revisit it a different day. And we've just been chunking away at it for a couple of years, honestly. And
That's
she's actually
awesome.
getting pretty damn good at it. So I'm excited for this one because it's just a different style. And you only
Mhm.
can play the same game so much.
Right.
But yeah, it looks really good, man. It's one of those games where you just throw on the TV and if you're not into it and you're not going to play it, I wouldn't buy it, but you can come over to my house and
Mhm.
just shoot the shit, play it, drink beer. It'll be
Heck
one of
yeah.
those good games. So,
Mhm.
um, anything else? Anything else exciting that happened this week?
Mm.
Only
Not
other thing
really.
I only other thing I did, and sorry to interrupt. I brought out the OG Xbox One. I was
Oh yeah,
actually
that's right.
yeah, I was gonna sell it just because I have an Xbox One X, and I booted her up and it updated good, and it's still looking pristine because I take care of my stuff. And I
Mhm.
was like, you know what? Talking to Heather, I was like, I'm just gonna keep this for the kids' room when they're a little older. Just for DVD player, Blu-ray player, or streaming service, whatever. Because
Mhm.
you only get like $45 through GameStop, and I saw the price plummeted on Mercari. They're going for like $15. I'm like, okay, not doing that, or 20, but still not doing that.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, no.
because like 6 months ago they were going for like $100. So
I don't know what the designation was on that because I was wondering like maybe Xbox hadn't announced their like backwards compatibility yet, but that's been out for more than 6 months.
yeah, let's see here. Xbox One. So sold. So those are all S's. Here, let me put Xbox One 500 gigabyte. That's the original one.
Mm-hmm.
So people have them posted for $75. No one's buying them. Yeah. So that's a 360. So a 360 is going for more than Xbox One right now.
That's
So
hilarious.
Xbox One, $31.
Wow.
20,
Actually,
29, 27, 19. Yeah.
the OG Xbox One's the only like Xbox that I still don't like have that I'm like keeping.
Yeah.
So I have like two 360s. I have my Xbox One S because it's a great 4K Blu-ray player. I have my Xbox Series X that are just like it was such an amazing like system. It's hard for me to like get rid of it,
One
even
X
though
or Series X?
Xbox One X.
One X. Yeah.
And I have the Xbox Series X.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna sell it, but I mean, you can spend $45 going out to dinner. I'll just,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep it.
I know.
So, but
I think the one thing that's holding back the Xbox Series S is it doesn't have a Blu-ray player. Like like you said, like the OG Xbox One, still a Blu-ray player, still a DVD player. It adds so much like more like longevity and value to the console, where the Xbox Series S is all digital,
right?
And so it's like, oh, I'd love to just like, because it's an amazing system especially for the price, but it's like I can't use it on my like TV as a Blu-ray player, DVD player, so the wife doesn't do her any good,
right?
And then like, yeah, what happens if the internet goes out or whatever else, and you're just like, well, I have all these Blu-rays and DVDs we could watch, but I can't anymore because the Xbox doesn't have the disc drive. And so I wish they'd come out with like a version with a disc drive. I also wish they would have gave it a little bit more VRAM so that all these developers weren't having issues with it, because it's an incredible system. It has the exact same CPU as the Series X does. And so the fact that developers are having issues with it is like, it's kind of like mind blowing.
Yeah.
That it's like that much RAM dependent, because its CPU is seriously powerful.
Yeah,
it's got a 3700X basically in it. So it's more powerful than your old CPU.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Well, that's one of the reasons Baldur's Gate's not coming to the Xbox.
It is coming. Do you hear that? This is the first game Microsoft said, okay, the two systems don't have to have series parity or feature parity.
So they're just bringing it to the Series X?
Nope, they're bringing it to the only problem that they weren't able to bring it to the S was they couldn't get split screen working.
So they're bringing it to both. They're just not doing split screen on one.
You just can't do split screen on the S. The only, and Microsoft has said every other game like if it's got this feature on the X, it has to have this feature on the S.
Wow.
Otherwise, you can't launch the game, and so that's why the game wasn't going to launch until 2024. Well, then they made a deal where it's like, okay, if it's just co-op split screen on the S, we can launch it. We're not.
Well, dude, they're seeing the sales and they're like,
advantage.
Oh yeah, yeah. Fuck Sony is what they're saying.
Yeah, because like we literally talked about like last week on the podcast that was basically a PlayStation exclusive for this year.
Yep, Starfield versus Baldur's Gate. That's exciting.
And what's funny too is, on the note of that, is people are running out and buying Xboxes to play Starfield.
It's like the old days,
Phil
man.
Spencer said that it wasn't going to happen, even if Starfield was an 11 out of 10. People weren't going to go sell their PlayStations and buy Xboxes. Now, a lot of people probably aren't selling their PlayStations to buy Xboxes, but they might be buying Xboxes to play Starfield.
Yep. It's exciting. It's exciting to see. Now, one thing I want to bring up, which is neither here nor there, but Starfield's review scores were phenomenal. Not phenomenal, like not holy shit, but I think it's stuck at like 88 or 89 on OpenCritic. IGN gave a 7 out of 10, and so did GameSpot. Two of the biggest reviewers that are known for giving like inflated scores gave it a 7.
Well, IGN's known for giving everything a 7 out of 10. Except for like 1 or 2 games.
But even if it's shitty, it's 7 out of 10. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. It's inflated.
I know. For the longest time, I was like, do they give anything but 7 out of 10? And then there was a couple like 10 out of 10s they gave or whatever. And I was like, oh, they do give another score besides 7 out of 10. Yeah, there was some valid criticism of some of the gameplay elements. It's like, it's not for everyone. But if you like Bethesda RPGs, it's pretty freaking good.
Yeah, I thought it was. I read through the one review from IGN, and it was valid points, which you would expect going into the game.
Yeah, you know, it's always weird that like because IGN they'll give it to a single reviewer, and they'll review it, and their whole opinions like gets published as the IGN review.
Mhm.
And it's like if they put the wrong person on it or somebody who's doesn't like those kind of games,
They don't like that. Yeah, they don't like. I don't like RPGs, but I'm gonna review the shit out of it.
yeah, and it's just like, okay, like you don't like looter shooters or space, like big adventures.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I spend a lot of time in space and exploring.
Mhm.
Oh, it's kind of a 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know,
boring.
yeah, it's like, well, that's
Point,
what the game
whole point of
is.
the
Like,
game. Yeah.
yeah.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't to that point, but still, it's like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Starfield is a 10 out of 10 game like kind of or like a Zelda um or a Baldur's Gate where like it's so good that everybody kind of has to maybe experience it because it dives deep. But I'm happy that it's like that because it's one of those games where you'll either absolutely love it or it'll just be okay.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's gonna like pick it up and be like, no, this game's trash. I hate it.
Right.
You'd be like, yeah, I like it. I don't know. Didn't like.
Not for me.
Yeah, not for me. But like, I think it's from the reviews and different things I've seen. Like, it's starting to turn all the right gears. I'm getting kind of hyped.
I know. That's why I need to beat Baldur's Gate. Actually, when we get off, I'm playing more because oh man, I'm in a really good point in Baldur's Gate right now. But going on to what you were saying, like it might not just be for me. I actually saw, and I don't know if it was clickbait, but I saw Wood from Beat 'em Ups went live on Twitch yesterday trying Starfield out again. Maybe we'll get it this time or something. So like, I don't know if he's not having fun or if there was like a tech issue. But I thought that was interesting. So
yeah, I mean, like,
it's not for everyone. It's just funny to see now. And as a streamer, it's funny seeing everyone jumping on the hype train. BG3 came out. Everyone's fucking playing it. Starfield's out. Everyone's playing it. And I even noticed the other day, Icarus, random ass Steam game, must have sponsored a bunch of streamers. Everyone's going live on Icarus. I'm just like, man.
Well, that's become more and more like what Twitch is like everyone's playing the same flavor of the month.
Yeah.
Like there was that like 4 or 5 week period where everybody was playing only up, where you just like it's like a platformer, you just keep jumping up and higher things. And like, granted, the game did stream very well. It was interesting to like force streamers to play and watch. So that kind of has like a factor too, where some games can be a ton of fun and great games to play, but they're not entertaining to watch.
Right.
And other games can be like meh, like okay, but they're really entertaining to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I get a little annoyed when I see that because
if it's like a sponsored thing where they sponsor just like everybody trying to take over Twitch for like a day or two, yeah, that it's like, okay, whatever. But
it is funny though, because a lot of people fall into that and they will buy the game. Even if they never wanted to play that fucking game, they will buy that game, play for an hour, and be like, yeah, it's not for me. But my favorite streamer played it.
Yep. Well, I had a couple of friends like that, and even I was like that for a little bit, where it's like, oh yeah, everybody's playing this, it's got to be really good. It's like, no, it's not for me. And so now I just really make sure like I can respect the game, I can watch somebody else play through it, but I gotta really make sure that it's gonna like jive with like what I like.
Yep. What? Anything else, man? Pretty boring week for me. Just a lot of games.
Yeah, I actually tried to like get decent sleep for a couple nights last week. So
shame.
Yeah, not too much gaming.
Cool, man. Well, you can give the people what they want then.
All right, everybody, thanks for stopping by and stay nerdy.